This is The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel, and you are watching The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of, the only movie prop podcast. I don't know. There's probably one
on the internet.
No, there's probably a couple on the other internet, but yeah, the best movie prop podcast.
There's that one on the dark net. That's a little...
That one's really good.
Yeah, it is. No one knows how to find it.
Brought to you by Prop Store, maybe.
Yeah. Well, Prop Store and Heritage. This is our season finale. So I do want to say thank you very much to both of our sponsors. They've been very good to us this season.
Both in terms of obviously, paying for all this, but also the access is really wonderful. The chance that we get to kind of go over and see the stuff and see things early and kind of get to film with them and show them to you guys. And so we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, Dave, I did a little math, and I actually realized that we're coming to LA this summer. We're doing a little trip to LA in between seasons, and it's paying for my trip. The sponsorship of
you actually added it all up.
Yeah, I'm proud of that.
I think I just have everybody just deducting it from my bills. It's just sort of like they're paying me to pay them or something like that. Just some weird.
Yeah,
I'm a sharecropper basically.
Yeah,
I am an 1800 sharecropper, and I am never going to get out from under it.
With this sponsorship and a nickel, you can buy a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm playing the numbers every week to a loan shark that and the vig just keeps doubling or something. Yeah, no, it just keeps on going. Yeah, brought to you by Prop Store.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know what they have. By the way, I should say, do they have anything going on right now? I think their
movie poster auction.
It started still going on.
I believe it starts today. So we're recording today, May 8th. So this is about 2 weeks out from when this will air. But I believe it will. I think it runs for 3 weeks until the end of the month. So I believe it will be in its last week when this comes on. You should go check it out.
Check it out at propstore.com.
I couldn't help myself, Dave. There was a poster I found that I have to have that's in it. So
which one?
Should I say it and then get outbid on it?
No, it's okay. Yeah.
It's funny because I just love the image. It's it's the Japanese B panel thing, and I just love that size because it's like you can have a bunch of them and it doesn't take up.
They line up nicely. They fit very easily in bathrooms. But continue.
Yes, and an auditorium and all that. But it's just this like really cool still black and white image of Dirty Harry, and I just love the image, and it has this very like minimalist sort of Japanese text on it, and I just love the whole thing. And it's from that David Frangione collection, who's also I think towed into props a little bit, but he must have had his huge poster collection because they've been selling off his poster collection for the last couple of auctions now. He had that crazy the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, those crazy huge door panels,
the giant ones.
The one that there was like two of in the world. Yeah, that was in his.
The thing I saw, which was hitting me, although it's so funny because it's cloth, I guess, which is from the Jaws release. It's a banner, like a banner with like frill at the bottom. I don't even know how to describe it, but it is a cloth like theater banner, and I'd never seen that before. And I mean, where the hell do you put a fucking banner? It's big because you can imagine
like Subway?
Like longer than that. Longer than that. Yeah. There's a Star Wars one. Have you ever seen the Star Wars? It's like a vinyl banner. It's like brown and white. It's kind of hideous with like a illustrated version of R2 and C3PO on it is the best way I can describe it.
But
it's absolutely, it's like wonderfully hideous. And of course, because no one expected Star Wars to be anything, as a theater owner, you would have had to have paid extra money to Fox to get this banner. So I think they were under ordered and under sort of like, why would I spend money on that Star Wars thing that's going to play for a week?
Yeah.
And then we can get to the hit movie of the summer, Sorcerer.
Yes.
But so again, one of these items
that movie is really great.
Oh, it's incredible, but it is just like I'm sure that spring at the big theater convention, it's like, well, fine, I'll take your Star Wars, but I can't wait for.
We got
Sorcerer.
a Billy Friedkin picture coming in.
Yeah. So anyway,
Rotally paved in gold.
That banner, and it's like, I don't know, it's like brown and gold. I'm sure I'm screwing up the colors in my head, or maybe it's gold, but it's turned brown. Anyway, it's wonderfully ugly, but I have one of those, and I have it framed, and it's just giant and framed, sitting in a storage unit because there's no wall that it goes on, basically. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yeah. And the funniest thing is, the last time I looked at it, I went, I don't really like the frame on this. I really should get it reframed so it can sit in the storage unit, which is just the epitome of like,
that's mental.
That's a problem. That's a real problem.
Yeah. You're the David Fincher of prop collectors, Dave. It's stressing me out.
It's stressing me out. I can't look at this frame in the storage unit. Yeah. Just a nightmare of things.
Are you still using our favorite framer over there?
Yes. I mean, I have been not framing quite as much because there is just a sense of, unfortunately, there's no more wall space. Like, I don't know. I sent you a photo, and maybe I can put it up online. As I have made the apartment better.
It looks incredible, man.
It's getting there.
I'm proud of you.
I'm getting it really. I'm really just getting it ready for you to come to LA. That's really my main goal. Yes, exactly. I just want you to be able to sit on a couch. Maybe we'll record a live episode from the apartment or something.
We have to do it. We absolutely have to do it. We'll figure it out.
But maybe we could get a real guest, like maybe I don't know, Guillermo del Toro would come on the show if he got to come to the apartment or something crazy.
I love all
see props. Yeah, exactly. But I had this wall where there used to be a television. The television moved, and I did just start taking some of my really good Star Wars stuff and just kind of put it up. So I kind of hung up my gold records, and I hung up a Macquarie piece or two, and the wall looks just really nice. And of course, it just was this sort of blank wall that had like a hole in it from the television, and now it just looks really nice. And again, that's sort of the Star Wars living room, if you will, is coming together nicely and sort of somewhat organized. Somewhat organized.
It looks so good.
It does. It is. It's nice to see that stuff. But the honest answer is I have a closet full of frame stuff that isn't on the wall. So the idea of framing at this point, I'm only framing things if I feel like, not that they're in danger, but just like that, if almost like they would be safer in a frame, if that makes any sense. Like that, even if even if the frame doesn't go on the wall, getting this poster framed and keeping it wrapped in bubble wrap will actually keep it safer than any better place. So I have a couple of things like that. Yeah.
I get very antsy like that with my original art when I buy it. Like I got to get it into a frame just to keep it protected. And
sure, I'm less with that. I have my Itoya folders, and I feel like everything is very sort of solidly protected. And by the way, there's just too much art that if I ever started to try and frame it all, that would be just pure madness. But with like a couple of props and things, and a couple of like movie posters and pieces of art, like movie art, I don't know. There's like one or two pieces that are like all rolled, and I hate that they're rolled, and so I've put them in frames so that I can see them even though the frames aren't on the wall. So I don't know, it's slightly better than they're in storage in a frame, but I don't know. But yes,
I deeply miss my flat file coffee table that I have, and that's in my storage unit in LA, because that was just a great way to, like, I never felt bad about buying something like a poster or whatever, because I could just stick it in there, and I don't have that now. I have this giant, you'll laugh, I bought one of those big art portfolios, but I bought it movie poster sized. So,
oh my God, that's giant.
And you can't turn the pages because it's not rigid enough. So like,
then they bend, and that is the problem with those things.
Caught in the the clippy rings.
Right, you could tear the poster trying to get it into the sleeve. Yes, I mean, I understand why you got it, but those kinds of things sort of.
It was a better idea than it ended up being in execution. Yeah. So, but I have one of those, and I mean, any poster that I have that's like of real value,
you framed and put on a wall.
Yeah, exactly. But I do miss my flat file coffee table, which will come back to me at some point, whether I land in LA or wherever else in the world.
It is certainly nice. I mean, at this point, obviously, I have I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I have like 7 flat files, and they do make life easier in terms of, just looking and being able to pull out a drawer and go through art in a flat file drawer is obviously a very nice thing. And I have one of those coffee table things as well. But yeah, I mean, look, the only good thing I can say is, like I said, there's less stuff than there was, but that's about it in terms of my condo right now. But there are things now on the wall, and so it's looking better.
No,
it's looking better.
It's great. You're making progress. I was actually going to ask two things, because it is the season finale. So thank you everybody for a great season 7. I feel like this has been a really great season. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I please write in and tell us what you're thinking. But I feel like the new live episodes, the new auction format was really good. I liked it. I hope everyone else did.
My butt liked it.
I mean, again, obviously because the auctions are so large, but also I felt like us going through the catalog and then doing a sort of live episode about the catalogs was a really fun way. I really like the live shows. I really like the crowd we get, but also, I don't know, it's just sort of fun doing it. Not that we are editing these things particularly much, maybe the occasional ums and uhs and fuck ups, out of it. But I don't know, there's something very fun about the without a net, the live, whatever, where not that, again, it changes anything, but I've enjoyed
and all of your ranting and epithetting, which you can't seem to stop yourself from doing.
So. But no, I think it's been a fun season. But yeah, I would be curious what people think. So write in and tell us at something at something.
But dreams are made of podcast@gmail.com or at props podcast on our social media handles. You can find us everywhere there. I was going to ask two things. One, in your kind of condo nesting preparation, have you selected the place of honor for the X-Wing? Has that happened?
It's coming together. There's a middle room that I think I showed you has now been emptied a bit.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be in the Star Wars room.
I think not, because I don't think there is a wall, because I feel like it needs to be up against a wall, and I'm not sure that currently exists. But I mean, there could be a reorg of some sort.
Okay.
There's just not a great place where it feels like, I don't know, the way I feel like it needs to be up against a wall for an extra level of sturdiness. Like I feel like it will be on a pedestal, but that at least like the rear of it should be up against a wall, so that, like, I don't know, it just feels like it needs that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, the middle room is becoming a prop room. It really is becoming a prop room. And as I have cleared the toys out of it, it is maybe even more a prop room. And so I'm trying to get another giant display case in there. And then in a perfect world, the X-Wing next to it. So there are some Star Wars things in those display cases. So it won't be alone. But yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see. But I have a working idea, at least, I think. Yeah.
Good. And then follow-up question.
Yep.
Do you have an estimate as to when you'll be able to take delivery?
I have spoken to them, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to say or not supposed to say about, I've been giving stuff for auction and whatnot, about just giving them some stuff, like basically so that they'll, giving them enough stuff in advance so that they feel comfortable like almost like collateral, if you will. So I've got to do that. This is they actually wanted me to do it sooner.
3 Ditkos, 2 Millers, and a finger.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What is it? And it's just sort of like I've just been going slow. I mean, it has taken me forever to kind of like, I feel like I got to base camp now with the condo and the collection, where now that there's room and you can sit and you can walk and you can not see everything at any given point, but shit isn't piled up on top of stuff. You can kind of look. I now feel like I am both able to look at stuff and kind of go, maybe that's going to leave me, that stays, whatever that is, but also pull out a binder and put it on a table that is clear and then flip through said binder. And you know what I mean? So like, I feel like I can actually now do collecting work there, if this makes any sense. Whereas before it was just uninhabitable and unworkable. And now actually, like, I now have room to like open up a folding table and sort something and then, whatever, put it away. So it's almost like now the real work begins, but I got to somewhere at least. So the answer is Yes, I'm hoping in the next month or so is my dream. So I'm hoping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's what I
wow.
hope. Yeah.
Oh,
I want to
fantastic.
have them for when you come to LA. It's all about you coming to LA. Yeah.
You're going to get it just in time to put it on the couch and then tell me there's no place for me to sit.
Right. Sorry, I had to move the couch. Yeah. But that is the plan. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Good. Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Because as you know, marooned over here in the UK, Bart's gotten to see the X-Wing in person at least. I never even got to be in
No, I
its
know.
presence.
Bart's like seen it, I was going to say like a bunch of times. Yeah,
Old
exactly.
News.
Yeah.
Old news to Bart.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's very exciting. Does that qualify as a what's new in props?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to, that's sort of my what's new in props update. Because it's like, okay, it's time for what's new in props. That's what's going on. Although I placed a bid. There's some British auction going on right now. And last night, I wrote you, and I don't know if I hope you remember. Otherwise, you've got a real problem.
No, it was early this morning for me. So,
right.
yeah.
Technically, it was early this morning for you. And there were two pieces, and I was sort of vaguely interested in both. One was a fiberglass Batman Michael Keaton torso armor that looks like maybe that they used to like make the suits on top of, or something.
My guess
like
was that it was a form that they would have
yes.
poured the rubber over to make the soft suit. Yes.
And I was vaguely interested in that. And then the other piece that was very funny to me, although you did talk me out of that one, as we sort of said, it would be great for my non-existent bat cowl. So I guess, yes, I do need to get a bat cowl. But the one other piece that did make me laugh, speaking of Fincher, is they had a sign for Alien 3, the 20th Century Fox Productions creature effects. So I threw a bid of 250 pounds on it, and then they said, no, it has to be 240 or 260. So I rolled the dice at 260, and then I just looked, and it sold for 280. So I was outbid. But yeah.
Well, write us if you bought the sign.
I feel like if I'd gotten it, it would have been fine. It would have, I don't really like Alien 3, but I'm fascinated by what I guess it could have been. But I guess I just like the sign, honestly. Just
the sign is very cool. It
the
says
creatures
Alien
effects
on it.
department. Yeah,
and I do. What does it say? No unauthorized visitors.
No unauthorized visitors.
I did enjoy that part. Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
So anyway, I lost, but that's what's new in props. But I did throw a bid on it, and I lost. So yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Very good.
But thank you for talking me out of the torso. I think that would have been a real problem. But yeah.
Yeah, you didn't need more giant
I know I did
things that aren't quite things yet in your condo.
Right, exactly. Things that aren't quite things for 300, please. Yeah. What's new in props for you?
Well, I have two things that are interconnected. Chris Barton, the great Chris Barton, a guest of our.
I have a Chris Barton story too, but continue first.
Oh, great.
I'll get to mine. Yeah.
Guest of our previous episode, I believe, based on how these are airing.
I have no idea what the order was on. We met him this year. I know that.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's last week's episode. So the great Chris Barton. I think I challenged him on the mic. I don't know whether we were recording at the time, but I needed an emergency stand built.
There, but I don't know if we were recording.
Yes,
basically,
yes. But I put him on the spot, and I needed an emergency stand built for me for my Indie Whip, and the guy came through in 24 hours. I mean, sent me he got the stuff, picked up the stuff yesterday, and by close of business today, I had a photo on my WhatsApp of the finished stand, and
which you are now looking at as we speak. Hopefully the audience can see
marveling.
That. And maybe so when will you pick that up, or when will you send your assistant to get it?
Well, he makes multiple runs to Prop Store, usually during one or two a week. So I think in this case, sometimes I have it dropped directly with him, depending on what it is. But he's a bit of a hike from here, so it just depends on what's going on and the touchiness around the piece and whatever. So in this case, I think I'll just have him just drop it at Prop Store the next time he goes, because it's still plenty of time for me to pick it up and get it done for what I need it for, which is I did this interview for the Hollywood Reporter. It's around the press and release of the show, which we can do a little update on all of that as well. Which as anybody that
I think
cares,
it's been a very long time since you've given the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of audience a spoiler, like a real genuine spoiler. So think of something that you can get away with saying that you haven't said on any other social media or anywhere else, or that no one else can pick up.
Okay.
Something.
Well, I'm not on social media, but
I mean, just like that hasn't
in an interview or anything.
Widely reported. Yes. Think of something you can say.
All right. Yeah, I'll think of something.
By the
All
end
right.
of the episode, you have an hour to figure out.
Okay.
You have 6 hours. This is a 6-hour episode. You have 6 hours to figure out something to say at the end of
Okay.
the episode. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Oh man. Oh man. Okay.
You just say like a word, like green. Like I mean,
Yeah.
no one knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that a spoiler? Well, we'll see.
Dotson. I got Dotson here.
Yeah.
No, they don't care. They don't know. So anyway, doing a bunch of press and things in and around and related to the release of the show, and the Hollywood Reporter came knocking, and they wanted me to do this. It's a series, I guess, that they have called Creative Spaces, and they go into the creative space of people that do what we do for a living, and just talk about their offices and where they work and what sort of inspires them creatively. So my team actually pitched them my office here that you all look at week to week, and they jumped at it. They were like, that's so cool, we're in. And I was just like, when did this become cool and something that I don't have to hide in shame about? And I like how the world has evolved, Dave. I like where we've gotten to. And so they're coming, the reporter people, photographer, whatever, is coming in here in a couple weeks to take stills of the office, and it will be in this piece about me and my creative space and my how I like to work and how I deal with anxiety and stress and all those things. But I talked a bit about the collection, and the reporter, this guy Mikey, was very nice and actually asked really great and interested questions, and was interested in me, and had actually done background on me, like meaningful stuff and new stuff,
cool.
which I enjoyed.
Was there a particular prop that he was curious about or interested in?
Statler and Waldorf.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
So we talked a bit about that, and I talked a bit about my Stormtrooper helmet as well. But anyway, so we'll link it out when it comes out, but you'll be able to see that in this kind of profile that they're doing. But I wanted because I'm obsessive, my whip stand wasn't quite right for the new Indie configuration that I have. It was a little too short, so it looked kind of mini in comparison to the Indie torso. It was sort of made to kind of sit with just the hat, but now that it sits with this big kind of torso with the shirt on it and everything, it wasn't quite right. So I wanted it to look very nice for the professional photography. So the great Chris Barton, thank you, Chris, really came through, delivered, and looking forward to picking that up. So I will be doing that in the next couple of days.
Well, I will jump in on the Chris Barton story, which was, I really enjoyed talking with him. Obviously, I'd never met him before. Obviously, I knew of him through the Prop Store guys. Obviously, I really loved his work, but I really enjoyed talking with him, and just, I didn't know anything about his career and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought it was really fascinating. And so when we were done, I started following him on Instagram, Chris Barton Art, and I was, of course, very obsessed with these. I think he described them on the show, these giant cassettes that he makes, sort of where he paints the original art to these cassettes.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm looking through, and I was trying to think of like which one to get. And I was actually disappointed, because the one that I probably most wanted, it's like, oh, I guess a lot of people ask for this and it's already done, which was the Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique, which just made me feel like an old man or something, that so many people.
That was not what I would have guessed, like Stones or Beatles or something.
Yeah, I mean, again, I both like all of that kind of stuff, and
but
maybe.
I think, and you tell me, I think because of his art, and I need to do one of these too, and I've gone back and forth.
Right.
But I feel like it's not right to do the Beatles, because I feel like you need to pick an album that's cassette era to make it feel right.
I think it's more interesting if it is something where, like, the cassette, maybe, dare I say, is even different. And you'll laugh where I am now headed with it. And I don't know. We'll see what I do. Is I started thinking about yeah, exactly. Are you familiar with Star Wars? I started thinking about some of the old comedy albums that I listened to on cassette when I was a kid. And I don't even know if he could do that, but I was where I was going. But originally, my first thought was Beastie Boys. And then, of course, it was like, it looks like he's made 100 Paul's Boutiques. Like, that may be their best seller. It was like, I laughed and I went, I guess I'm a bit of a cliche. That's what I learned about that.
I kind of went back and forth, because, I'm a big Zeppelin guy, as you often mock me for, but I don't, they're vinyl era. I feel like, yes, there were Zeppelin cassettes, but if you're really doing the, like, this is the nostalgia of getting that thing for the first time, it's a vinyl.
Although, if you listen to it on cassette as a kid, if that was your methodology, I don't know, it doesn't bother me, because the shape is unique, and there's something about, like, sometimes when they took the album covers and shrunk them down and then had to add like like a color bar underneath. The fact that he would paint like the color bar because they shrunk it. I don't know. I could justify a lot of things, but I did think it was fascinating. But let me get to the larger, the great victory. So I followed him, and then all of a sudden I got a message from him, and I have to write him back. He found me a slat wall display in the United States. So he was like, what about this? So I haven't fully been like, I don't know if they're as good as the ones he makes for you and whatnot, but it looks like there's the possibility of slat wall finally.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm very excited by that.
A different guy out here makes those for me,
but
I think Chris actually will make displays that, because it's a universal. That's the wonderful thing about it.
That's what I want about it. Yes.
Yeah. Anything the real that's problem, slat wall goes in. Yeah.
The displays I have, which are wonderful, are fixed shelf displays. And so what of course ends up happening is you have a shelf where you have something that is X high, and then nothing else in your collection is X high. So it sits on a shelf next to things that are this high, and you just feel like you are, for lack of a better word, wasting space. And the ability to, do something and then do things, midway through and create sort of forms and what. Anyway, that's what I like about the slat wall, the universalness of it, and all sorts of different holders and things, like where you could put a hat in because there's a slat wall hat holder or whatever it is. But anyway, God bless the man for sending me something, so I'm going to check that out. So thank you, Chris. Yeah. So I'm very happy.
And back to his cassette tapes, which everybody should check out. We did talk about it in that episode, but it's chrisbartonart.com. And you can see what he does. I kind of landed on Metallica. I think I want, because it's the perfect cassette era. They did do vinyl, but at that point, everybody's buying cassettes, like a Master of the Puppets or a Master of the Puppets. Now I sound like a boomer. Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning. I was combining the two records there. One of those two I think would be great. So I think I'm going to engage him on that. I just need to sort of talk about where we're going to hang that.
That's the largest question, is just, I think they're fantastic. Where the fuck am I putting it? Yeah.
And then I was doing, maybe I get one for the people, and an album that we both land on that we like, like the Alanis Morissette album, or what, just something that was meaningful to both of us, and that similar time that we overlapped in childhood. But God, Master of Puppets would be so good.
That would be at this house. That would be the Grease soundtrack. That would.
Okay.
That would be the cassette Becky and I both had. That. Yeah. Or maybe the Village People. But yes, the Grease soundtrack, Thriller too. Yeah, I think Thriller was one of those ones where I think my sister and I both insisted on having our own copies. So we had 2 copies of Thriller at our house. Yeah.
One Stormtrooper figure.
Yeah, I know.
2 Thriller albums.
I feel like somehow my parents just didn't piece it together that we had 2. I think they never quite realized. I think they just thought they were buying an album, as opposed to they knew I had a Stormtrooper. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Very clever.
All right. Well, that's a good what's new in props. We thought we would dive into the mailbag as this final
so we're
episode
do a bit
of the season. And by the way, we'll be back in a month or two. I mean, we have to figure that out. But
not gonna be gone too long.
Yeah,
there's more auctions coming up.
Yes, there's a lot more auctions coming up. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. So we have a crap load of emails that we thought we would catch up on, little mailbag, whatever, and we'll see if we can go through some of these. First one is from Michael Held, listener Michael Held. In the future, tell us where you are physically, not physically, your apartment. Yeah. I mean, I like knowing,
Michael from Des Moines.
Yes, exactly. Very sort of Letterman style from the home office and whatever. What does mid-grade prop mean relative to stunt and hero?
I mean, we sort of covered this before. Did we cover this, or did I just answer an email? I might have answered an email. Yeah. It's a term that Heritage seems to use. I don't think it's a term that Prop Store uses. To me,
I was about to say it's not a term I use. So I also would like to know what a mid-grade
It is a Heritage thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of, they don't know whether it's a stunt. It sort of lives between stunt and hero. It's not clearly a foam casting that was used for a stunt, but it's clearly not a hero foreground.
It's not the light up with the electronics or the trigger that moves. Yes.
And sometimes the ones that I've seen called mid-grade are kind of mushy a bit. Like they wouldn't, it would look like a casting if if you looked at the close-up photo of it. It kind of looks like a second generation casting. And I think it's just, I don't think anything. I think it sort of has a hero build quality to it, maybe with like, it's not just a painted casting, but there's stuff maybe stuck on it, and the metal nozzles on it.
Because I was thinking it was the kind of thing where if the hero has one and whatever, it lights up, or the trigger moves, or the barrel moves, it's a solid cast because the other guys in the platoon all have one too. Maybe they don't ever pull it out, but they have one in their belt. But it is different from a stunt that is either lighter because someone gets hit with it. I'm making this a prop up, but like something that they have multiples of that is sort of off the hero, but isn't the hero, and also isn't a stunt.
I think actually holster plug is probably a good. What these are when you see them, they kind of feel like, oh, that was the one on the belt that he didn't take out, or he was holding in the Shatner was in the foreground, Bones was behind him, and then the red shirt in the
they each had one
in the third mid ground was holding a thing, and it didn't hold up to close inspection. That's how I would kind of grade that, but that seems to me to be a heritage specific term.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great thing.
Dreams are made of podcasts at gmail.com.
All right. We got another one. This is endless. All right. Danny Hogan has sent in a very long one. I know you've discussed in the past how you'll occasionally step aside and abstain from bidding on a key piece that a friend is pursuing for his collection, even if it's something you would love to have as well. I was curious how you might approach a prop that is of such significance that it is being pursued by a museum curator. If you learned that the Academy Museum or Smithsonian, or a buyer intending to donate to them, were interested in an item they would love to have, would you still bid for it as aggressively? I'm going to just kind of whatever. If something you've touched in the past,
Theseus's paradox. My goodness.
What the hell is this? Is this a different question, or is this the same question? Okay, let's do the first part first, and then the second one is
okay. I would say bid. I don't care.
I could give a shit. I mean, first of all, the Academy barely bids. You're right. They do have people bidding for them. I don't even think the Smithsonian really bids. They would like to bid, but they are both looking for people to buy for them. And
donations. Donations.
Donations.
I have had this thing for 30 years.
I support both those organizations. I hope people do buy and give to them. But Lord knows I would not step aside on any of that kind of stuff. Because you don't know. You don't know.
You really have no idea. And secondly, even if they win it, it might just go into storage and never be on display, or not be on display for 15 years. And I'm just, this whole thing where it belongs in a museum. Yeah, that's all well and good. But like, ultimately, when Dave and I buy something, especially at that level, we're going to take really good care of it, and we're going to share it out with this podcast, and people that like the show are going to be able to see it. So no, I have no moral qualms about.
I have no moral qualms, but I would also say, like, unless you are friends with one of the, I don't know, archivists at the Academy Museum, and they're telling you we're bidding hard, how would you even really know? Because certainly the notion of a rumor spreading through the collecting field of like, we hear the Academy really wants that. I don't know, 90% of the time, that's just bullshit. The number of times I've been told the Academy wants something only to see, person X just buy it. I don't know. I don't know. I just wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. What is the second question? Because I got lost even trying to read it.
I'm very curious as to whether there are red lines beyond which you feel an actual restoration effectively renders a prop no longer as a film used item. And I think the simple answer to that question is yes. If, say, a gremlin has effectively lost most of its latex, replaced or repainted, is a still screen used prop in your minds. And look, if the armature is gone and you rebuild the whole gremlin around it, then no, that's not screen used. I think it's one of those things where if the gremlin exists mostly and Tom Spina is coming in to zhuzh it back to original life and really preserve, I think, for the future, so it doesn't crumble more, then that's fine. But yes, I think there is a line. Yeah, but what that line is, I think, goes on a case-by-case basis, and you have to use your collector's instinct to sort of have that tell you what where
Right,
your
and
personal line is.
people's lines may be different. I know
Yes.
mine. I think yours and mine is pretty similar and consistent.
Yes.
And look, in other hobby fields, it is different. I think we've spoken about how, you can have like the original like frame of a car with the VIN number, and everything on it can be, you can rebuild the entire car, but because the frame is that VIN number, it's the car. But in my
Yes.
mind, it ain't the car. I mean, I realize
That's a great
car
example. Yeah.
people will argue, but I mean, again, I understand the frame, but and look, there are things you can do. Maybe you could find an unused skin and you could say it's a Hero armature and it was a production made unused skin that was painted. And then I might kind of go, okay, that's kind of cool or whatever. But at some point, if you are completely rebuilding something like that much, I'm less interested. That's my own personal opinion. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. All righty.
Andrew Whitaker.
Oh, Andrew Whitaker. How do you feel about collecting animation cells? They say pop culture nostalgia comes in 25-ish year cycles, and me being 29, I'm feeling the desire to collect frames from my childhood cartoons. Would love to hear your thoughts. I love animation cells. I do the same thing. I have cells from some of my favorite stuff, in particular, a bunch of Super Friends cells from the old Super Friends Saturday morning cartoons.
Wonder Twin Powers.
Activate. Challenge of the Super Friends. I've got a bunch of that kind of stuff. Even a couple of things I used to watch in reruns. I have a Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, which I don't know if that means anything to you, Ryan. Channel 11 used to air at New York City like 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. It was, I think Bob Kane created it. It was sort of a Batman ripoff, but it was a cat and a mouse. And very dated, but I have one cell from it because it's wonderful, and I have some Gotcha Man stuff. I absolutely love it. But
I want a Danger Mouse cell.
See, there you go. I think that would probably exist. No, is that your new British favorite? Is that like a thing now that you live in London?
No, I watched it as a kid in the US.
Really? Oh, okay. I always think of that as
a
British
Danger
show.
Mouse. No, I showed it to my kids, and they were actually, and I found it. It's on Netflix, I want to say, and it might only be UK Netflix.
If you liked Danger Mouse, check out Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse, because I don't think.
Did you like Danger Mouse?
Yeah, but I think I was a little too old by the time I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very like James Bond, Nick Fury.
Right. Yes, they're kind of ripping it off. Yes, exactly. The only thing I will say, Andrew, here is as long as you're buying it for your own nostalgia, that's wonderful. If you are thinking that you are going to game the system by picking cartoons from 25 years ago that will come of age in 5 years in a great money-making scheme, allow me to tell you, I don't think that's going to work for whatever that is worth to you. Yeah.
Question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
What is the urge of animation cells?
Oh, I don't even know these days. There was a period of time, this would have been in the late 80s, I think early 90s, where like Spielberg and Lucas were buying a lot of animation cells and a lot of key Disney stuff. I think that used to be the big thing, like these beautiful
Sleeping Beauty,
and Snow White was a biggie and whatnot. And they were spending real money. And from the stories I'm told, people knew they were bidding and people were like running them up. Do you know what I mean? Like they were kind of aware that these guys were spending money. And so they made sure they spent some money. Again, that's all sort of secondhand tales. And so there were some giant animation prices. These days, oddly enough, where I've seen the big prices is when some of the rare, and again, we're probably talking about that same sort of cycle of nostalgia, where you're seeing more sort of rare Japanese, like anime stuff come up, where a Miyazaki, like a great Miyazaki cell with Totoro on it, like a full frame Totoro or something, or a killer Akira, but he's on the bike. You know what I mean? Like, these very specific things, like he's got to be on the bike.
But like, what is a Totoro? What is that?
I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars. It can go for good money. It can go for real money. Again, we're not talking necessarily X-Wing money, but we are talking, but we are talking thousands and thousands of dollars in a, I guess, in a good way if you are selling, or in a bad way if you're buying. That's what I think of when I think of the heights of the market right now, which doesn't stop people from trying to sell other things for a lot of money. But I think there is a limit to the animation prices at the moment. So, yeah. But wherever that fits in. Yeah.
Very good.
You want to hit us with the next one?
Bill Schaefer asks, in all of your years of looking for TV and movie artifacts, what are your most elusive, it's in all caps, TV and movie artifacts that you keep hoping to find, yet others believe they are lost forever? I mean, we're actually going to do an episode on this. Maybe this is a next season thing.
That,
finally, we're looking for the right guests to bring on, I think, to provide more knowledge about it.
The guest is proving to be as elusive as some of the props. Yeah. We just haven't figured out who the right person is.
Find him. Yeah. You know, I think we can each give an answer. I mean, my answer is the thing that I've always been fascinated by, simply because all the stuff got out there, and like, where is it? Is the Bat Gauntlet from Batman '89, the one that splits and gets him out of the Flugenheimer Museum.
Right.
You know, where does he get all those wonderful toys? And when he saves Vicky Vale, and, you know, it splits the Joker's face. Yeah. The hero it's in all the movie books, photographed amongst the props, and it never showed up in those Warner Studio stores where they were on display for a while, and where everybody thinks they kind of, all those movie props disappeared from. It's never been in the Warner archive. It was such a cool thing. My guess is somebody has it and took it home.
Somebody either has it, or it worked once and then just kind of exploded. You know what I mean? Like, it just broke.
Maybe,
I mean, but no,
but like,
someone took it home. I agree. Someone took it home.
I think my guess is that it's in a attic loft somewhere here in the UK. Right. And I would love for it to come out. But I
was going to sell it, but when I saw it, it just reminded me of so many good times. I decided to keep it.
Very good. Thank you, Dave.
I decided to put it in a fruit bowl in the center of our dining room, and I love it.
Yes, that one should be out there, but is not, and I think it fits that category very nicely. Dave, Star Wars?
No, I was trying to think about it. Well, you know, until a certain point, we would have obviously have said X-wing and Y-wing and all of those things. Sure. But those seem to be coming. I think there's still probably a great lightsaber that's missing. I mean, if we're talking Star Wars, you know, that's
somebody's gotta have taken.
Oh yeah,
one of those
exactly.
home, right?
Yeah, I would like to think so. So, you know, somewhere there's that answer. I was trying to think of if there was some like incredible movie,
like the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber from Episode 1, like. Sorry, Episode 4.
Not Episode 1. Yes.
No. Yeah. The first
I'll sell
Star Wars.
I got 20 Episode 1s if you want.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But like, I understand that thing was made out of, like, it was a grenade, you know, it was a British grenade and whatever, but like, did they really break that back down into its component parts to throw them back in the box at the end of production? Did that really happen?
I'm still reeling from Steve Loader telling us that mixed into the Fury Road background costumes are pieces of Max's wardrobe from Road Warrior. Like, I'm literally still like I have not been able to
it hurts your
fully
brain.
deal with that. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
I guess. I mean, the guns, I guess, make more sense to me, because it's like, well, it's a firearm.
Well, you could re-rent them. Yes, you could re-rent them.
Yeah, and exactly. Those guys thought that way, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have a perfect answer for this. Like I said, a lightsaber somewhere. And then TV, boy, that's just so, it's a little I feel like, you know, for me, I think about stuff from shows I liked, but I'm not sure they're the most elusive. And again, the TV stuff, they're probably in
they made a lot of TV stuff, so it's harder to say like, oh,
but
this
also
thing
it's
is
probably
missing.
in a prop guy's box who never thought anyone would care. You know what I mean? It's a tough question, Bill, and we will do the episode and sort of follow up. It's I don't know. It's just hard to answer on the fly, that one, a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, we have to make our list a bit, but we could do a whole episode on that right now, because I was just thinking of aliens and whatever. But I'm going to save it for the future. But and I don't know that this is lost or whatever, but I've never seen it out there. I've never seen it at public auction, certainly. But my answer is for TV. Picard's, you know, in the later seasons when he had the cool suede jacket over the gray tunic.
Top. Yep.
Yeah, his sort of like jacket? On holiday, or the away kit. Like, I've never seen one. I'm sure somebody kept that thing, but that one's awesome. That's an awesome costume.
I'll just say sure. You know what I mean? I mean, because it's like, I don't even know. I mean, by the way, I might say things like, I can think of things I want that I don't have, but I think they're kind of around. I don't know. I don't think of that same level of it's never been seen. Because maybe there's just no show I care enough about TV wise. I'd like Oscar Madison's typewriter from the old Odd Couple,
Oh,
but I don't think that's anyone's definition of elusive.
Yeah.
That was just probably.
Hey, where's the Shining typewriter? See that we could do. We need to like sit down and make a list and do it.
There was a typewriter in the Kubrick exhibit. I think
it's not right.
It's not the right one. Okay, that was just a display thing. Okay, I was trying to remember that. All right, moving on. Bill, I apologize for not answering that well. Chris Fawcett, I know Chris. What is a prop from a very obscure movie that you always wanted to own? Some movies that maybe no one really knows or remembers. You got one of those?
Yeah.
Obscure movie? Okay, go for it.
Very easy. I've looked for one of these for years. Nothing has ever come up. The Ninth Gate.
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
The Roman Polanski movie from 99, 98, right? Is that about right?
That sounds right.
Like
maybe
late
even
90s?
a touch earlier, even. But okay, yeah, I'm with you.
I think I was in college, so I think it's it's late 90s. And it's a if you haven't seen it, it's awesome. Johnny Depp, when before Jack Sparrow like broke his brain, and when he was like playing characters, and he plays a rare book dealer. It's a great collector's movie.
But he's sort of a rare book dealer.
Mercenary
almost. You're a mercenary / private investigator. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's tracking down somebody's been murdered for a book that they own that apparently is one of these rare Torchia books that was written by this Satanist who made a book that taught you how to summon the devil. Right. And basically you need to put together a series of these books because he hid in the art in the books is the code, but he split up the code across multiple volumes, and somebody's figured this out, and they're killing the collectors that have them and going looking for them and whatever. So it's this quest to find these Torchia books, and they're all different. And he finds a bunch of them throughout the film. It's like a prop hunt. He knows, that the collector in Spain has one, and it's based on this it's based on a Spanish novel called The Club du Mas.
Club du Mas, and the book is really enjoyable. The book is radically different. They sort of took a piece of the book and expanded it into this movie, and it's its own thing. But I highly recommend the book as well. But I do really like that movie.
And I love the prop. And the unfortunate thing about it is they never turned up. But I've also heard that the bookmaker that made them for the movie, like not doing any, not looking to scam anybody,
right,
but he made a bunch for the high level people in the production that were done just as.
So they're all mixed together.
So it's basically, unless you have a matched one, which you could match.
Hashtag private deal. Hashtag private deal.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Bringing it home. Anyway, but honestly, I would I would spend good money on one of those too. I don't care because I just love
I always liked, in a similar vein, I always loved the illuminated books from The Name of the Rose, although they are
another of my favorite obscure movies.
But they are, I don't know, I don't think of the books quite as being as recognizable as the Ninth Gate book in that. Yeah, like they're not like you might say,
and that is the MacGuffin,
right? Exactly. Yes.
Whereas The Name of the Rose, I mean, it has to do with the books, but it's more about what's going on.
And by the way, another one where the book is his crazy glasses. That'd be kind of cool.
Connery's spectacles.
I was going to say, by the way, a wonderful book as well. That also the movie is a small piece of a much larger, really fascinating book, but they really had to distill it down to make that movie. Yeah, those specs are really cool. For me, I'm going in a completely other different direction, which you are not necessarily were perhaps expecting. I'm going to pick one of my absolute favorite directors, which is
Battle of Endor.
A movie called Return of the Jedi, a TV show called The Mandalorian. And I'm looking for a season 2 helmet, but I want it to be a fake. Okay. I don't want a real one. I want a fake.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a twist.
Yeah. No, one of my favorite directors, Billy Wilder, but a movie that I believe has sort of been a little bit forgotten from his oeuvre, which is 1, 2, 3, which maybe I've mentioned on the show once or twice before.
No, your love of that movie convinced me I had to track it down on Blu-ray, buy it, watch it.
But you did. God bless you for listening.
Yeah, great political satire.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. It's tough to say there's a specific prop from it, but I would certainly tell you if I could find a call sheet from it, if I could find a clapper from it, that would be incredible. I would be interested in some kind of Billy Wilder script, but I am guessing somewhere in there There's probably some business cards or something from him. There is her polka dot dress. I'm not a big wardrobe person, but I'd probably go for it just
like
to own
political
it. Yeah.
posters or like propaganda posters
Yeah,
or
I don't. I
something?
mean, yeah, you're right. When he's sort of, and oh, you know what? I'm going to go stand corrected. The cuckoo clock. There's a key prop, which is this kind of cuckoo clock that ends up representing democracy. Very hard to explain. Check the movie out. That would be the prop. If I owned the cuckoo clock from 1, 2, 3, I'd be a really happy guy.
Bread is his soul, Dave. He's cutting a loaf of his soul.
And eating it.
Little Seinfeld reference.
Would you rather have a lame prop from the original movie of a series or a totally tricked out hero from a sequel movie that isn't really great? For example, a full animatronic Terminator head from Terminator Salvation or a pair of shoes from one of the punk gang in Terminator. Am I allowed to say neither of the above? But I guess because I really don't want either. But I guess I will take the punk shoes from Terminator. Sorry, I just don't.
I mean, I think that's actually a cool product because I'm sure they had cool specific shoes because it's Cameron but yeah, I mean, I get the question, but I'm sort of a neither guy too. I just
I will say the following: there are sequels that are awful, and then there are sequels that are harmless. So I guess if you said to me, I could have a really cool prop. Let's say if you said to me, I could have some kind of a shark model or a fin or something that was specifically from Jaws 2. And again, I want to be really specific here. I don't mind Jaws 2. I was the right age for it. I know it is not Jaws. I want to be really clear about that. I'm aware it is not Jaws, but it is also not Jaws 3D, and it is not Jaws 4: The Revenge. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's not Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, exactly. So I might take a sort of great prop from a sequel that doesn't make me want to kill myself and everyone that made it, I guess. So somewhere in there is an answer.
All right. So Tommy Essen asks, hello, Tommy. Thank you for listening. What is your biggest bang for your buck piece? By this, I don't mean the most favorable price deal you ever got. Rather, what piece in your collection is legitimately valued rather low, yet on a personal level, you just love it, on par with your far higher end pieces.
Oh, that's sort of interesting.
I like that. I like that question.
Yeah. What do you have an answer? I'm trying to think what I would even say.
I mean, I love my Princess Bride clapper. I mean, it's probably the cheapest prop I've bought in recent recent memory, in probably 10 years that I've actually spent money on that I care about. And
which, by the way,
the surprising joy that it brought me was
that is what I love about a good clapper and a good call sheet. I mean, I know I just mentioned those for 1, 2, 3, but there's a lot of bang for your buck in those smaller things because they are so representative of the movie as a whole. Yeah.
Yes. What about you?
I was trying to think. I mean, I definitely have a couple
of... Your Jyn Erso blaster?
My Jyn Erso blaster, screen used, unmatched to nothing. I was going to say I have a couple of little odds and ends that I do get a kick out of, and some of them we've talked about on the show. I have the little box of diamonds from Marathon Man, which was not a major prop piece, but to me, a very memorable key plot point. I have a can of Dapper Dan hair oil or whatever from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Again, not a giant expense, but very enjoyable.
By the way, the tin of diamonds, is that in a Band-Aid? Is that a Band-Aid case, the one that you have?
I believe so. I believe it is.
Do you know? I forgot to tell you this. I was going to do this for What's New in Props, and I just forgot to. So on my con jacket, know the Starfleet badge, the big plastic thing. It's a Band-Aid box.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was fiddling with it, and the lid just opened, and it's a tin Band-Aid box with a bunch of there's a bunch of Starfleet stuff just glued onto it. And I was like, this is great. Real prop. Everybody.
No, that's exactly what you want in a Star Trek prop. No, that is fantastic.
Sorry, you were. I
was just sort of Dapper Dan. I mean, I have these like sort of smaller props, and I get huge. A real favorite. I have a Mindhead license plate from Bowfinger, which is a movie I fucking love. So funny. The Mindhead, the whole Scientology parody, just really enjoyable. Yeah. Where are we? Jason Gerstein. Oh, another clappers. Are most clappers with content, scene, interior, exterior, set to the final shot of production? Do clappers match martinis? Often they do, but there are also multiple clappers for multiple cameras that aren't always used in every place.
Yeah.
And then there are sometimes specialty clappers for specialty scenes. Like,
Yep.
for example, the mini cameras that were the mini clappers that were like used for the actors to hold up, like when they were inside the X-Wing cockpit and
insert
whatnot.
shots.
So there are, yes, there are insert ones and whatnot that don't necessarily match the martini. So
but
the
usually
answer,
and the martini, of course, is the final,
yes,
the final shot of a day usually, but also obviously if it's the final day of filming, it's the martini, it's the final shot of the final day. The ones I have, I've noticed all are within days of the final production, if not the final day of production. Yeah.
There are also some where people keep putting tape on top of tape on top of tape on top of tape.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that tape has been pulled off, and so you're just getting a random day wherever that fits in. So
yeah, I love my my Batman 89 clapper, because looking at the clapper stressed me out, because the final day of filming, or what must have been one of the final days of filming, is in 1989, and that movie came out in 1989, and that just stresses me out.
Well, to me, I know these are like bad clapper jokes, and we may have made one of these before, is I would be super interested in a clapper from a Kubrick movie if it said like, or a Fincher movie maybe, I guess, if it said like take 97, that would be very enjoyable. And I would have been very interested in an Apocalypse Now clapper if it said like day 708 or something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, Francis's
those would be
blood
good clapper jokes. Yeah. What else? What's next?
Justin Holt asks, what are your thoughts on the seemingly endless number of Star Wars props surfacing at auctions in recent years? With the replica community making pieces that are sometimes indistinguishable from real ones, or being directly cast from screen used ones, do you think auction houses are vetting these pieces closely enough, or are they just trying to cash in?
Well, I mean, I think you got to split these into different categories. So in terms of the classic Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, I think we are just simply seeing that big numbers beget big numbers, meaning something sells for a huge number, that becomes a story, and somebody goes, wait a minute, I have an X-Wing sitting in my closet. And so I do think that is a natural process, let me simply say. And I do think when especially vintage stuff comes out, it is super highly vetted and rarely slips through for the most part with stuff that isn't great. And we've seen things be pulled in the sort of vintage world. In terms of like certainly the more recent stuff, obviously we've done extensive episodes on fakes. There are a lot of them. We are living in a time of where, whether it's the 3D printing or whatnot, it is easy to make stuff. It is easy to get them close. I think they are catching stuff left and right, obviously. I don't have an answer on that. So I don't know. You have to sort of separate stuff, but it's certainly not unique to Star Wars. Yeah, it's not, and it's not Star Wars. It's sort of why we saw so many
modern production stuff.
Well, I was going to say it's why we saw so many hoverboards. It's like one sold for a giant price, and everyone that had one went, "Wait a minute! If I can get $400,000 million for mine, I'll sell mine too." And obviously, they don't all sell for that, but you do. Prices drive. I think prices drive consignments. I mean, there's no easier way of saying it than that. Yeah. So yeah. Will Dave be loaning his awesome X-Wing model to the new Lucas Museum for the world to see and enjoy? They have their own. I don't think if they wanted mine, I would lend it to them in 3 seconds. That's
from David Wetzel, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I've spoken with some of the Lucas folks, and we've talked more about some other pieces about my willingness to lend them, which is true. And also, it is a museum of narrative art. It is not going to be just a Star Wars museum. And they're very interested in some of my comic art, and I'm very, very excited to see some of that.
Oh, that's cool.
Would ever do that. So that would be very, very fun to do that part of the lending. So yeah, so I am very open to it. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Tom Horvitz asks,
storage space. I know Tom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Look at you, Dave. Storage space doesn't matter. What outrageously big proper set, if it existed, do you want? The Death Star, the Guns of Navarone, the Kong on the top of the Empire State Building? You guys rarely mention silent film props. What sort of stuff made 100 years ago still exists? That's sort of like 2 questions, but giant prop, I got an answer.
I mean, I certainly, one day we'll play this new game, which is if you could murder Gus Lopez. But yeah, no, I would take the I take the Death Star in a second. Yeah,
that went to 11 fast.
Do not, please. We're begging the audience, do not murder Gus Lopez.
Yeah.
No, his X-wing. I'm sorry, his X-wing. His Death Star is incredible, but it is also giant.
Gigantic.
If you said to me there was an opportunity to have like like the giant King Kong from '76, like the head, which I guess that someone said to us was like was it what's his name?
It was Chris Barton.
Yeah, Chris Barton said it was
North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly, like unrotting. But I mean, look, or a spinner or a Jaws shark, full size shark. I mean, I guess all of those are interesting. At the end of the day, I don't know if I really need any of them. So, and it's sort of a non-answer answer. I have no idea on the silent stuff. I was just going to say, just to answer the second part also.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just go right to like, I would want a Buster Keaton something. I don't even know what, but I just like, that's my favorite.
I mean, we've seen like, props from serials, and I guess occasionally art once in a blue moon shows up from early like silence and stuff. And that would be really interesting as well. Like Buster Keaton art would be very cool. But I mean, I don't know if I said to you, again, I think at some point someone said like, here's Charlie Chaplin's pants. Don't get me wrong. I think that's really cool, but I'm not sure I need them.
However, if they said, here is Charlie Chaplin's monkey radiator cap.
Well, that's very different. The man was a huge car collector. Yeah. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like a piece of clothing from a silent movie. I'm not quite sure.
Don't care. It would have to be, because you're not going to match any of that stuff because the resolution and whatever. So it would have to be something.
If you told me there was like a piece of Maria from Metropolis, boy, that would be cool.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
I don't know. A lot of it that to me seems significant. I don't know about a lot of
those. I'd almost rather. I mean, I'd rather have the poster. I guess.
Right.
Anyway,
well, I guess it depends on the piece, but yeah, okay.
My giant piece, very easy, is Prop Store's Nostromo. If I had
fair enough
the space, I would have totally been on that thing. That thing is awesome. Because it was up for auction a couple of years ago.
What if you don't have the space, but they just called you tomorrow and they just said, Ryan, we would like to give you the Nostromo. How do you break that to Kayla?
I quietly rent another storage facility next to the one that we already have. And then I say, I'll figure this out in 4 years.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very valid answer. Yeah. Jason Gersten, do you have...
Either I'll be dead or I'll be rich. We'll figure it out in 4 years.
Well, if there's any money left after the storage fees. Do you have temperature and humidity controls set up for your props? If so, is it on the room itself, or do individual displays have individual climate controls? What the hell is that?
That's my it's just my little, it's not a climate control, it's just a temperature monitor and humidity monitor.
Okay.
So I keep this in my office with my stuff. I don't have an individual thing, but the room is climate controlled and the room is set to, to hold at a certain temperature. So whether it's, it's a heat/cooling situation. So whatever's going on outside, if we're away, it keeps the temperature very level within, 5 degrees essentially.
Yeah. I mean, Fahrenheit. I try and do the same. It's rarely an issue of trying to make anything warmer. It's really just making sure it doesn't get like hot and sweaty in there. So it's much more of just trying to keep a very steady kind of 70 degrees basically.
I mean, really props are pretty forgiving. You just don't want an extended period of time at that. You don't want it to live, you don't want your Yoda mask to live in an attic in the like Southern California,
Abu Dhabi, yeah, exactly. There's something lovely, certainly with older props, where, and this is, this is not 100% true, but it is a little bit, which is to say, if they've lasted this long, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things like, what was it? We've always talked about like the Batman Returns discs, which about like 20 years ago, they started disintegrating and kind of
dust.
Yeah. And so at some point, like if you've got something and you go like, well, it's, I don't know, this armor's still standing. Again, I'm not saying abuse it. I'm not saying keep it at 100 degrees, Fahrenheit, but there's something to it. It's lasted in a good way. So I think there's value there. Yeah. I honestly, going back to animation, I worry so much more about animation cells, about like the paint on those, like turning and whatever, than I do about almost anything else, wherever that fits.
Yeah. Thankfully. I mean, the thing that I'm most worried about in my collection is probably my Muppets, and again, but they're 40 years old and they've done well enough this long. And and I had a Muppet expert work on them in Chris Barton. I mean, he basically he didn't do any touch up work. He just redisplayed them, and he just said basically like, take care of them and they'll be fine. You know, just don't put your hand in there because all the latex is frozen essentially. So don't try to move it.
If you move it, it'll crack or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Like keep it in its form where it is now.
I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
Andrew Merget.
This is long, but go for it.
Merget.
I hope it's Merget.
It's like merge with a T at the end. So I'm going to go Merget.
Yep.
I was wondering, especially with the attitudes these past seasons, what type of growth do you think the hobby gets in the next 10 to 20 years? Is there going to be a point where there'll be a cutoff and another generation will no longer value movie props and movies in general?
Sorry. My coffee, I just got grounds.
It's like the sediment at the end of a wine bottle.
Yeah. Look, can you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, read them and see what the future is.
What does it say? X-wing will
bid on the Y-wing.
X-wing will melt in 70 degrees. Oh wow, who knew? Sorry, go on. I apologize, Mr. Merget.
It's a question about. This is a question that faces all collectibles, Andrew. This is very pop culture focused. We have no idea where movies are going. I imagine that, like Casablanca and like Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, these things that Dave and I love very much.
There are classics that will always be classics.
Evergreen.
But
yes, my Batman 89. I mean, there's so many Batman generations. We've seen it happen with the Adam West Batman. I told this story.
Yeah, I paid good, real money for my Batman 66, utility belt, and then watched when, in the Greg Jean auction, when 3 of them showed up, the total of all 3 didn't cover what I paid. Now, again, I've had 10 years where people, I had it, no one else had one. People made me crazy offers, of which would have been so smart to take any of them, but I don't regret it because I love the piece. And so
you have your piece and you love
where it loops back to is you got to buy what you love. And I almost feel like you got to go into these things feeling like, I always say to myself, like, I want to feel like if I had to get out, I could get out of them at a reasonable sort of break even-ish. But somewhere I secretly think to myself, the honest answer is, if like, what happens if these things are worth 0 one day? Do I still love them? And the honest answer is you have to love it if it's worthless. If you're worrying about it, then maybe just don't buy it. I mean, that's the honest answer. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
With this final episode of the season, the folks at Prop Store wanted to share some reminders about their upcoming auction schedule. Prop Store's UK
Go ahead.
Poster auction is currently live and will conclude with a live auction on May 30th, 2024. Oh, that's the UK auction. Okay, so the LA one ended and
but we mentioned this earlier. I mean, it's just it is specifically UK. So check out the online catalog at propstore.com. That's where the Jaws one and whatever we were talking about earlier is.
Yeah, my Dirty Harry poster. Yes, don't bid against me. Also, Prop Store's final Expanse auction is coming in June from the sci-fi series. Soon you'll be able to view over 300 lots from the show at propstore.com/The Expanse.
As we Expanse fans like to say, you can expand your Expanse collection.
Very good, Dave.
I don't know. I've never seen the show. Yeah.
And block your calendar and save your money as Prop Store's next big. I have a funny story. Should I just tell it in the middle of a Prop Store?
In the middle, yeah, they'll love it. Yeah.
Save your money as Prop Store's next big entertainment and memorabilia live auction will be taking place in Los Angeles in August 2024. Come enjoy the kickoff to your summer, and we'll see you back soon with another auction catalog review, which we did tease, and that will be happening.
Although I think that we may have teased after this ad, but anyway, it's all fine. Yes, go on. Yeah.
So my funny story is we were selling Colony and The Expanse at the same time, and they were both I believe they were both Legendary associated properties. Legendary had a piece of The Expanse. We were owned by Legendary. Colony was owned by Legendary and licensed to NBC Universal, their cable networks, the USA Network. Expanse was similar but licensed to Science Fiction, but it was also at NBC Universal. Anyway, we were doing the international sort of sales, shimmy and pitch.
Right.
This is back in the day when, the
there
US
was an
network
international
would own
business, yes.
And then you would try to sell it internationally. And so we did a bunch of these screenings, and they had me there as the showrunner and co-creator to talk about the show and to try to, zhuzh it up to try to make those big international sales. And we would do one of the screenings, and after the screening, I was talking with the sales guy from NBC Universal, who's lovely and whatever, but he's business end guy.
Yeah.
And this man comes over to me shaking, and he's like, I grew up in Poland behind the Iron Curtain, and this show is my childhood. You recreated my childhood of living under the pressure of this, and it's done in science fiction, and it's this wonderful allegory. I'm so moved. And I was like, this is amazing. Where are you from? He's like, Poland, and he was the Poland rep and whatever. And he walked away. And I mean, this is the first time this has happened to me in my career, where somebody has come up to me and said, like, something you did, like, landed on me. So I'm like reeling from it. I look at the sales guy and he goes, Poland doesn't have any money. He was already ahead, already completely ahead of where I was going with it. He was like, not impressed. Poland has no money.
Finally, as this season comes to a close, Dave and Ryan each wanted to take a moment to talk with you about why you should vote for them to win Prop Store's favorite host award for season 7 using the Dave10 or Ryan10 discount code for your buy now purchases on propstore.com. Instructions to host. Dave and Ryan will now present 3 reasons why people should vote for them. Fuck you, Chuck. Fuck you.
Should I get my 3 trophies out of the closet, Dave? Those are the 3 reasons. Give me the 4-P.
If you had any guts, you would just tell them to vote for me. Just that in your own, just sureness that you're going to win anyway.
Seriously, vote for Dave. He needs it. He needs the win badly. And I need a little motivation to come back and try to, take the championship belt back. I'm just going to be lazy.
Rocky 2 is that much better because Rocky 1 is there's no decision, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then he dies in Rocky 4. Apollo Creed. I don't know who's the Apollo Creed in this case. I guess that's me, right?
No, you're even Drago, I think, pretty much.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's how I've cast you. That's how I have cast you. Just the evil Russian Soviet monster.
Very good.
What are my 3 reasons why people should vote for them? Well, reason 1 is that I had to read this ad that Chuck wrote and left a giant space for us to give reasons. Yes, exactly. Didn't you and Chuck, did you not enjoy Ryan's story about Poland? That was about Prop Store.
That was a good reason.
Yeah. What are the reasons people should vote for me? 1, I'm going to make America great again.
Good.
Make Prop Store great again. Vote for Dave. Make Prop Store great again. Aren't you better off today than you were 4 years ago before Ryan won any of these awards?
Yeah, it's the props, stupid.
There's that. Yep. Why should I? Whatever. Maybe because you get an 11% discount when you use the Dave10 code.
That's what I've heard.
Am I allowed to say that? It's not true, but can I say it? How are those for some reasons, Chuck?
Sure.
To place your votes, purchase 1 or more buy now items on propstore.com and get 10% off your purchase by typing either Dave10 or Ryan10 when you check out. At the end of the month, Propstore will tally up the sales, and the host with the largest amount of purchases will be named your favorite host for season 7. You only have until May 31st to cast your votes, so go to propstore.com today and choose from over 5,000 items immediately available for sale on Propstore's buy now platform. I think like 4,000 of those are Rob Klein items. Will Dave finally win, or will another V'ger swoop in and take it away? All will be revealed in a follow-up episode. Dun, dun, dun. Cliffhanger.
Tim Fraser wants to know, Fraser, when are we going to get you guys on the Whiskey Pod? That's a Dave question. Do you own props from terrible movies that you have a soft spot for?
How do you say in Scottish when hell freezes over?
Dave, do you own props from whiskey movies that you hold a soft spot for?
I did say I had that in my King Kong whiskey bottle, right? That counts for something.
Yeah.
I'll do the Whiskey Pod. Ryan, schedule the Whiskey Pod. It's fine.
Okay, very good. We're in, yeah. Tim.
Yeah,
write to Bart, dreamsaremadeofpodcast@gmail.com. We'll figure it out.
We will do it, yes. Do you own props from terrible movies that you have a soft spot for?
You keep trying to get a Kroll glaive.
Yeah, no, exactly. Apparently, everyone has a soft spot for fucking Kroll. I definitely have some V stuff, the old V miniseries, which is not good. I mean, I don't know what to say. I love it, but it's not great. I mean, in a good way, it's not great. Tron's a little long, but I have some Tron stuff. I mean, I do have things. I don't know if I have something that's empirically terrible. I mean, I have my stuff from Eurotrip. Does that count? I don't know. I don't know if I have something, like terrible where people like make fun of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. But I definitely have stuff that people don't. I have things that are not Star Wars, I guess is my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I have stuff from my movie.
Yeah.
But look, it's fine. You know, it's not. Yeah. I mean, this is it's whatever. No, and honestly, I don't know. My taste does not align with.
Right.
I don't have like a guilty pleasure movie that I want.
I do have stupid movies. I mean, you just told me the other day, you texted me and were like, there was some Facebook group on props I have now subsequently joined.
Volcano.
And they had Volcano Props, which is a very guilty pleasure movie for me, where it's a movie I just kind of will watch a lot of times when I'm writing because I can zone out to it and I know it backwards and forwards. My three guilty, like Volcano's a big guilty pleasure. The Cutting Edge, the ice skating movie where the hockey player
Tony Gilroy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know that's Caitlin's favorite movie?
Is that really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I love it. Toe pick.
That's toe pick.
So yeah. So I would take something.
You guys
Edge.
Can do the Cutting Edge podcast. I'll sit out that week. You guys can just chat about
the Cutting Edge Whiskey podcast. So again, I would take something from it, but again, I'm not looking for it. It would have to be sort of
Tony Gilroy wrote that
placed
movie.
in front of me.
Screenplay by Tony Gilroy.
It's a very good screenplay, directed by what's his name? Paul Michael Glazier, Starsky or Hutch. One of those two guys is the director of it too. Yeah. With so many auctions, but this is Mike Held. With so many auctions back to back, do you think the prop market is becoming oversaturated? And do you think current prices are being inflated? We talked about this a little bit as well after that last run of auctions. I don't know. I mean, we definitely saw some. We definitely saw some items that passed. We definitely saw some items that maybe sold for less than we thought, but we also saw some items that went for some really crazy prices. So I don't know. I mean, I think they will continue to be lots of auctions and jam filled and back to back as long as the market can bear it. And I guess for the moment, the market can bear it. Like every other hobby, I think there are A-level props, B-level props, and C-level props. And I think where people get into trouble is when they start thinking the B-level stuff should sell for A-level prices. Or maybe they did sell for A-level prices during COVID when people were just bored and crazy. But now when things are back to normal, B-level is B-level and C-level is C-level. And I'm not sure that's really going to change. But when you start to think it's going to be otherwise is where you get into trouble one way or another. A is always going to be A to me.
Michael Lou. Can you discuss about how to go about finding and trusting collectible insurance for your collection?
By the way, this should be an episode as well.
This is a show. Yeah, we should have actually somebody on and talk about it or something.
The hardest part is not the insurance. Well, the insurance is obviously you want a trusted insurer. There are a number of places, usually they may not necessarily lead with movie props, but you can usually find a place like if they're insuring baseball cards and comic books, they'll probably do movie props. The larger issue that I have found with insurance, and this is something we should get into again in the episode itself, is when you are getting your insurance, you need to basically assign values to what you have. And obviously, number one, those values are always changing. But you also need someone to sort of sign off on your values. You basically need someone to come in.
That's the problem.
Yes, and sort of evaluate your collection. And those people are few and far between. And that is the problem. Because if you don't have sort of a proper, what's the word? Not the title of the person.
Evaluator.
But it's not evaluation. Yeah. What's the word I can't think of? And you can't think of it. Appraisal. Appraisal. If you do not have, I know exactly. Yeah, people. I know. Yeah. If you do not have
too right, who's trying to find a word.
Yeah, proper appraisal of your collection that you get the insurance company to sign off on when they write the policy, that they are agreeing that so-and-so is a licensed appraiser and we accept these numbers. Then when, God forbid, you have a problem and all of a sudden you're calling them up and going, oh my God, my mug broke and it's worth $10,000. If they have not agreed to that $10,000, and it's not you saying it's $10,000, it is getting an appraiser to say it's $10,000 and them to agree to the appraiser, then they will attempt at that moment, and this is just their business, to basically say, we don't now believe that that is worth $10,000. And that is the problem. And there are, if any of the prop houses, and I've asked them both to do sort of like, why don't you guys do appraisals? And obviously, I guess it's not a real money maker, but it is hard to find. In baseball cards, it's probably easy. In comic books, it's probably easy. in movie props, it is very difficult, and I have not found a real appraiser for things that I have. I don't know. That's been an ongoing problem.
Yes, but most people in the U.S. use collectinsure.
Yes.
.com. So that's a good place to start because they know movie props and
they do.
They're...
But again, I think the issue is not the who, it's the appraisal, and I just consider, I think it's a continuing problem. We don't have an answer, but maybe we'll try and find an answer for you. That should be a show. We'll put that as a show. Lando Edwards, really? Is it really Lando? If that is, that's kind of cool. Just curious if Dave has the COVID list of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's when Larry has COVID and gives it to Bruce Springsteen. He has to call the people he made contact with. I noticed Dave's name on it, and he even sent the YouTube link in case I didn't know what he was talking about. The answer to the question is I was pleasantly surprised when that came along as well. And it was very fun and nice. And obviously, I spent a number of years there working with Larry and on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I was very touched, and it was very fun and good. And so thank you to Jeff Schaefer, my old writing partner, who is still there, and to Larry. That was very fun. I saw this question, and I actually texted Jeff and just said, hey, is it around? And he reached out to the prop person, who is a different prop person than when I worked on the show myself, or I would have reached out to them myself. And I don't know if it's the hero one, because obviously there's multiple takes, and then they cross them out, and then they would make another list. But they found some yellow pad with my name on it, and they're holding it for me, and I'm going to grab it from Jeff. And I are going to have lunch, and I'm going to grab it.
Well, I've cast it, Dave, and I have 10 copies that are screen used. That
I'd
really?
Like to
Interesting.
Sell
on my private.
They've been painted the wrong color. They're not yellow pads.
The leather work is off.
They're green pads, right? But you know what a green pad is, right? I think it's okay. Totally. I think it's kind of the same. So the answer is
private deals.
Yeah, private deals. Brought to you by Heritage and Prop Store. So the answer is I do not have it, but thank you, Lando. I now will have it.
Very good.
And
post a link of that on the feed.
Very enjoyable. Yes, exactly.
Randy Acuna wants to know, what are your top props you'd love to have from foreign language movies? I mean, I just go immediately to Kurosawa. I would love to have a Kurosawa piece, like a sword from a, like from Yojimbo. That would be a dream. That'd like immediately in the display case. Yes. Yeah. The other little films that I love, The Lives of Others. I've always loved that film. I don't know exactly what I would have from that.
That's a tough one in that sense of like
his
the rig of him listening. Yeah.
I guess that's the thing from that. I don't know. I mean, sure. Film.
I mean, again, similar thing. There's that movie. I don't know if did you ever see Goodbye Lenin? Goodbye Lenin, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, wonderful German comedy about
the Beatles?
No. It's basically it stars what's his name, who is now in everything. He was in Run Lola Run, and he's Baron Zemo, and he was in he's in the race car movie. He plays Louder. He plays the other Daniel
Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't
think of the word appraiser, but I got to Daniel Bruhl. So yeah,
we both got there quicker.
Yeah, a lot quicker. That was just insane. And we are anyway. Yeah, Daniel Bruhl plays a young guy growing up in East Germany who's protesting. His mother worries about him and whatnot. She goes to the protest because she's worried about him getting arrested. She kind of gets trampled a little bit and goes into a coma. While she's in the coma, the Berlin Wall comes down, East Germany reunites with West Germany, all of this stuff happens. And one day she wakes up, and the doctor explains to him that the slightest shock could kill her. And so Daniel Bruhl and his sister have to move her back into the apartment, which they need to recreate as if it were East Germany. And then
it's like the sad Life is Beautiful.
Yeah. And as things are kind of going, she sees like one day, like, wait a second, what's Coca-Cola doing here? So then they start lying to her that East Germany has won and taken over. Like it's a really funny, like comedy, like just a comedy, almost in a very Billy Wilder way, a comedy that just keeps building on itself. And for years, I think myself and other people, I was never hired to do it, but I guarantee you other people tried to think like, obviously, you could just remake it in English. And by the way, I think it would be very funny. But again, I don't even know, like there are some funny things in there with some brands and stuff. I'm not sure I want any of those props. So I'll go to the continent. I'll go to Asia as well, and I'll just say sort of like, it would be really cool to have like Chow. This is for Felix Liu, like Chow Yun Fat's those guns he mentioned seeing. Remember he told us about that. Yeah, I'd take Chow Yun Fat's guns in a second.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
hell yeah. There you go. Tommy Essen coming back and rounding it out at the end. You both rightfully talk a lot about pre-acquisition research, setting aside authentication appraisal. To what extent do you generally conduct post-acquisition research, and how do you balance and prioritize that time against research on future potential buys? Well, the answer for me is I just sit around and wait for other people.
Just wait for it to fall and magically into his
props.
lap. Yeah.
That's really the best strategy.
You literally a mix of people, not only like screen matching your props, but also like bumping into people who go, "Oh, the screw on the bottom of your grail. Let me explain exactly how it worked." In like this strange mystery that has
Dave.
haunted.
I gave that man a job.
That's very true. Very true. Yeah.
And
in
then I
exchange
extracted information
for the weird screw on the back. Yeah, no, it just falls in. I am always fascinated by like how things are used. I think it's interesting, like, how is something wired, and sometimes part of it is how could I rewire it and get things going. I'm always interested. There's only X number of hours in a day, but you try and meet people, and you do. It's funny, we talk about things on the show, and then sometimes people write in and go, "I worked on that," and whatever, and things like that happen. So I know there's no great answer, but I guess I am always interested in how they were made, who made it, why it was made that way, and any opportunity certainly to find books or articles or a new documentary on something. I've been watching this on Hulu. There's like this 4-part documentary about the making of RoboCop that I've been watching. And it's not, there are props in it and things like that, but it's been just fascinating. Like the cast, I mean, just the entire, I mean, I guess I am
I heard about that.
Addict to behind the scenes information, whether it's the prop or the movie in general. So I guess I do find it just interesting and entertaining.
RoboDoc, right, is what it's called.
I couldn't even, if my life depended on it. That sounds like a great
hear
title.
About that and then forgot
but very enjoyable, even though I don't know what the title is. Yeah. So I guess the answer is I love finding out the stuff, but as to how I don't have a schedule of what percentage of my life is spent on it. Well, I thought we might talk about something else, but that just turned into a mailbag episode.
It turned into, but no, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Went deep.
As we end, I guess I was going to say, and again, I don't even know who we're supposed to be talking about, but obviously we will be back in time. There are big summer auctions coming up.
A little tease that it's out there in the world now, but there's a screen matched gold leader Y-wing coming up for auction, which Heritage
definitely has connections to the X-wing as well, even though they're not necessarily saying that, but that's there for the taking. That is fascinating. So they are previewing about they're previewing that and a couple of other really wonderful items from their July
13th, 14th Hollywood auction. Yes.
Right. And Prop Store is, I think, going in August, but has not previewed anything yet.
We don't have a date yet. Yeah.
You've heard. Am I allowed to say? I don't know if that will piss them off. Should I say a rumor? Or
I think not, because I think
I could say it and we could just bleep it out.
Oh,
if they said we could record it right now.
Okay,
if they don't want
ask permission.
And if they don't, then it's here as opposed to
but
not.
We won't record my reaction to the thing that I already know, and then it'll intrigue people. So go ahead.
And I could I'll block my lips like this, so that now you can't even read my lips.
There you go.
But there is a Biker Scout helmet that's going to be in the August auction, and
exciting.
So I'm very excited about that. So maybe that's in or maybe that's not. Who knows? We'll find out. But so that's coming up in the big August auction.
I've been told that too.
Yeah.
Do you know anything else? Have they told you anything else?
That's literally all I heard. That's literally all I know about either auction. And of course I meant to reach out to both of them and didn't. So, so definitely we will be back in time for all of that. And we'll probably try and put up some stuff in the interim. So keep your eye on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel.
And maybe Dave and I will be able to do a preview at Prop Store together on video together. Yeah. I mean, it should all work out based on my plans. So let's
I like that.
Buckle up for that.
We go to Dallas together when you're here. We can travel to Dallas
together. True too.
Yeah. Everyone should go to Dallas at least once.
Yeah. I want to get a golf ball.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so fun. We go to the museum together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just go every. Not that I've been to Dallas twice, and I've both times been to the Schoolbook Depository Museum, and I'm looking to make it a third time.
I love it.
Anyway, a fantastic season. Please, I know we keep saying it, but as I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also subscribe to us on your podcast app. And if you can, please rate us 5 stars. Also give us the thumbs up on the YouTube channel thing. This all helps us with the algorithm in terms of getting the show in front of other human beings who
and showing off to our wives.
Yes,
so they
really
love that.
Oh man, when we hit 1,201 YouTube subscribers, oh my God, was that a romantic night here at the Mail House? But no, so please do all that, and we will continue to answer our email. We've already said that one a bunch of times. We all know what that is. And the Prop Store contest is ending May 31st. So that's probably in an ad somewhere in the rest of the show, so I won't say anything else there.
Get buys in, everybody.
But I'll mention Heritage one more time just to balance it out. Heritage.
And we'll see you in the summer.
Yeah. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.